Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Kathy Menakotz. I'm Town Supervisor for the Town of Canandaigua. Welcome. We're going to get started. We're here for the Town Board meeting for January 29th, 2021. Welcome again. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Town Councilwoman Linda Dworzak.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Linda. Jean, could you please call the roll? And if our town council people could raise their hands so people would see them and associate them with our town council so they know.
Yes, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Councilman Gary Davis.
Present.
Councilwoman Linda Dworzak.
Present.
Councilman Terry Fennelly.
Present.
Supervisor Kathy Menakotz.
Here.
Councilman Jared Simpson.
Present.
All right, Jean, can you also confirm that the meeting was properly advertised?
Yes, it was. It was placed throughout the social media and a press release to the Daily Messenger.
Thank you. And I'm sure most of you know Jean Crispin, but Jean is our town clerk and she assists with the flow of things here with the town board meeting and taking minutes. So thank you, Jean. There are written communications which are attached to the agenda, which you can access online if you have not already done so. At this time, we have our first privilege of the floor. We will be having the public hearing for the two purchase properties. This is an opportunity for those to be heard from the public at this time. Remember, when you speak, you have 3 minutes. I don't mean to be the bad guy, but those are our rules of procedure that I must enforce. Would anyone like to be heard at this time? All right, I don't see any hands at this time. If I miss anything, if my fellow council members or anyone can let me know. Okay, we move to priority business. Pursuant to Arts and Cultural Affairs Law, Section 5707, I can appoint town historian. We are still in the process of interviewing and accepting applications and resumes for that, and we can provide more information. There should be more information available online. The second town supervisor appointment pursuant to town law, Section 103, Subdivision 2, I am designated Mr. Jared Simpson as the deputy town supervisor for the town of Canandaigua for a term of 1 year. Thank you, Jared, for being willing to do so. And you're welcome, and I look forward to working along with you and my fellow town council people. So congratulations and thank you. We have no presentations as far as I know. And at this time, we're going to move to our continued public hearings. Please note that we have 2 separate hearings, and in order to keep things straight, if you would, if you'd like to be heard, we will take them separately. So if you can see on your screen right now, and I will clarify as well, there are 2 separate properties that we're talking about. We would like to hear from everyone. Obviously, as I said before, 3-minute time limit, and I'll try to give you a warning. We will not be answering questions at this time. We are, some of your questions may be answered by other presentations, or some may have some information at another time, but we're taking your questions and we will be putting together a presentation at another time if those questions have not already been addressed in any one of our presentations. So at this time, I would like to open the continued public hearing on the exploration of the proposed purchase of 3950 County Road 16. So this pertains to the property that we have referred to as RSM, owned by RSM Development, just south of German Brothers. Would anyone like to be heard at this time pertaining to that property?
Do we need a motion to open the public hearing?
I'm not sure since it's continued, but it can't hurt to do it that way. So can I have a motion to open the continued hearing?
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Linda. And our public hearing is now opened and continued. Would anyone like to be heard on this property? And I'm just going to take some time to scroll through so to make sure that I don't miss anyone. If you want to put in a chat, that would be fine too. Okay, I don't see anyone here on this property. So,
Hello, can you hear me?
yes, yes, may I ask who this is speaking?
This is Shauna Holtz.
Okay, hi, Sean. I'm sorry if I missed you. I see you now.
No, I'm honestly not very good at these Zoom meetings, so I could be.
Unfortunately, we have had to become experts. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to speak about this property. I just lived north of this property. I've lived there for 68 years. I've walked by this property probably thousands of times. I'm extremely familiar with it. My concern about this property is that I don't think that it's suitable for public use. It is an extremely steep trail to the lake. I've looked at the map that I guess is the part of the property that RSM doesn't want. And they're really, I don't understand, having owned many commercial properties through the years and knowing the rules that need to be followed, I don't understand how this even gets close to fitting any of the need for ADA compliance. I know that Doug Finch had shown a proposed parking area, and I believe it was for 20 cars. Having built a number of parking lots for the years, and I understand the theory behind it, I think it was kind of just a cut and paste to block it out as a placeholder. However, I think it was based on the Butler Road Schoolhouse parking lot, which the egress in and out of those parking spots is off of Butler Road. So there's no circulation that is needed. And my concern is that in order to get a real parking lot where people are backing in and out, you either have to have more land, or this will really be more of a parking lot for 8 to 10 cars. Somehow it's going to be very expensive to get people up, down from across the road, across the lake, down to the lakefront. And I guess one of my hopes would be if the town moves forward with this, that there's going to be a stoplight or some sort of really well-lit pedestrian crossing. I walk this area all the time. People are hitting their brakes and there's guardrails there. It seems to me that who this really benefits is the RSM developers, not the public. And I just have very, very mixed feelings about it.
You have 10 seconds.
10 seconds, okay.
Yeah.
I think that the 20 by 50, while a nice platform, you can't have fishing, kayaking, and swimming together. It's completely incompatible.
Thank you very much. We have another comment from Adeline Rudolph.
Hi, yeah, I live in Lakewood Meadows. I'm very interested in hearing more about the RSM design plans, and I like what I've heard so far. I do like the fact that it would be a potential trail, just a nature trail connection between Westlake Road and Middle Cheshire Road, which fits with our trails plan. I like particularly something I heard earlier this week at one of our meetings, that there would be preservation of the water intake for our water systems that actually is right in that location right now. I think that's very important to do. And I like the fact that there's very little financial impact based on our money that's already been saved for acquiring new properties. I know when I visited the Adirondacks, I saw a floating dock with a kayak launch on it. And it made it so that it would be very simple to launch a kayak, even if you had mobility issues. And my first question was, why don't we have something like that on our beautiful lake here in Canandaigua? So I would love to see that. And I think that for the Lakewood Meadows property owners, I think this would really be a nice increase in property values as well. I'm interested in hearing, other people and what their opinions are on it as well. But I think from what I'm hearing so far, I think it sounds like a positive plan.
Thank you, Adeline. And just before I forget, we did have a meeting earlier this week, which was recorded and has a lot of information on this particular property. And I encourage you all to go on the town's not Facebook page, YouTube page, or in the town's website to get a link to that. I don't know if it's up yet, but if it's not, it should be up soon. So that has more nuts and bolts than the original meeting where this was brought up. Maybe not more nuts and bolts, but also answered some other questions. So anyone else have any comments on this particular property? Okay, if I'm missing anyone, just speak up.
Kathy, we have a hand raised.
Okay, go ahead. I'm
Wendy.
not seeing you, but go ahead. If you could just identify yourself.
And
Is it me? Is it me?
No,
Wendy.
I think it's
Wendy.
Wendy.
Wendy, now I see you,
Hi.
Wendy.
Hi, this is Ken Reek, Wendy and Ken Reek. I think in reference to the comment made about the parking, the potential inadequacy of the parking on the RSM property, I think the elephant in the living room here is really the fact that people will avoid that parking, and the precedent has been set by German Brothers to park along the road. And I think people will just continue to do that out of convenience. So that the parking congestion along Westlake Road in that area is going to get way out of hand. That's all I have to say about that, actually.
Okay, thank you very much. And someone else, you can just speak. Oh, wait, I see.
Hi.
We have Marion and we have another person up.
Okay.
D. Gregory.
Thank you, Linda, and thank you, Marion. Go ahead.
In regards, again, to the RSM property, I agree with the last speaker that there has been not only a precedent set, but that's a county road. And they have always said that they cannot restrict people from parking there. So there would be additional parking along the road with people particularly getting their kayaks or canoes off the top of their cars. And I think that's a problem. But I'd also like to hear from the town two things in regards to this property. I think that the building that's up there is going to be a white elephant. I'd like to know how much it's going to really cost. I understand it's in really tough shape to get that building usable. And number two, what it would be used for. Nobody has said, to my knowledge, what they intend to do with that building. I think that building is actually going to be a liability.
Okay, thank you, Marion. Mrs. Gregory.
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Deborah Gregory, and I live at 3953 Riley's Run in Lakewood Meadows. And Kathy and Doug were kind enough and generous enough to give us time the other day to meet with them and discuss the path that would be abutting some of our properties on Riley's Run. I just want to thank them for their time, and I just want to again encourage them, if this all does go through and the trail goes behind us, and I'm not sure any of us are objecting to the trail. I heard some positive things about it. That again, because it is abutting our property, that we would have some kind of voice in how that would be designed. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. Anyone else? John.
I'm wondering if it's possible to make the purchase offer for this property public. And I would encourage a vote on the acquisition of both properties.
Okay. Anyone else? I don't see anyone else. I don't know if anyone else on the board is seeing anyone else on this property.
I can't get my hand up, Kathy. I'm
Okay, go ahead. Sue, is that you?
Yeah, Sue Litzelman. I am pretty active on the lake. I don't live on the lake. I live in the town of Canandaigua. We've been residents between the city and the town for the past 36 years. And I've made use of the lake down in Woodville and Ononda and Butler, different places. And I'm concerned about the development of the 3950 area because of the congestion of everyone else is saying with the German Brothers. I bike on that road, walk on that road. It's so dangerous, but also, to park up on a hill and then, with small children and families walk across the road, a busy road with all the traffic, and then get down to that floating dock totally does not appeal to me. I think you're limiting the type of people that could even use it. I don't think it's conducive for older people or young children, families. I totally have no interest in being down on a floating dock, and I love to kayak and paddleboard, but it does not appeal to me. And I would, as a taxpayer, I would not be in favor of it. I really don't think I would use it at all. And just wanted to let you know.
All right, thank you, Sue.
Yep.
Anyone else? And if I'm not seeing, feel free to.
Kathy?
Yep, I hear someone. Yes, Richard.
Okay, I have to agree with her on that. And I think that personally, I think our money would be better spent putting toward Tishner, which just has a broader lakefront access, and it's flat, and it'd be better suited for everybody to utilize that. There's facilities that are already on that property that could be expanded. The building itself could possibly use, leased out for conferences, or rented out for conferences as the need is. But I think the one that's on the county road, 3950 County Road, I think that's, as somebody mentioned earlier, is way too steep an access there. And I think it's going to benefit the developer above it more than it is the town. I'm also in Lakewood Meadows too.
Thank you. Anyone else on I know we have more people joining right now. We're taking comments on the 3950 County Road 16 property, not Tishner Point at this point.
Hi, this is Mary Hamlin, and
Go
I would
ahead, Mary.
just
Yep.
like to say I second what everyone else has been talking about. It's very dangerous there at around German Brothers, and I just don't see how you can park on this steep hill, walk down with kayaks or kids to another steep hill, which that bank on the lake is a very steep one. The money seems like it'd be better spent going towards Atwater Park or Ononda rather than buying more property that's unsuitable. That would be my comment.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Kathy, this is Kevin Ovani.
Oh, hi, Kevin. How are you?
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us. For those of you
Yes,
who
yep,
don't know
appreciate it.
Kevin, he is, I don't know your official title, but you are in charge of, let's say, the Canandaigua Lake Watershed Council, who has an interest in this property. I mentioned this to the people we had at the meeting earlier this week, Kevin, and I know they're anxious to hear from you. So if you could give us a couple of minutes of what the interest of the Watershed Council is on this property.
I'm also a town resident for close to 20 years now, so I definitely fully appreciate that area. Definitely, I've spent a lot of time on Westlake Road in that area, and definitely traffic issues are legitimate and have to really be looked at as the town, if they move forward with this, consider this area. I think parking also up above, you need to limit, potentially how many parking spots to try to figure out, that balance. But one of the great benefits of this 485 feet of shoreline that really needs to be looked at is the natural capital of that shoreline. We have very little natural capital along our shoreline, forested buffer areas. And this is one of the last remaining forested buffer areas along the lake in the northern third of the lake area of the 36 miles. When you look at the northern third, that top 5 miles. So it provides a critical piece of ecosystem services, water quality, protection that really is very limited when you look at the manicured lawns and all the built out areas all the way around that that system. So that balance has to be thought about also and looking at that component of it. There are state grant funds, and there's always a pie of state grant funds, and we were fortunate enough in a highly competitive environment to bring in state grant funds to try to protect these source water protection areas. And there's great interest in using those source water protection funds for helping the town in purchasing this land. Otherwise, that money goes somewhere else in the state if we don't use that money here. So there's a lot of benefit. Our intake pipe for the city of Canandaigua, which supplies the town of Canandaigua, is about a half mile away, and it provides that critical filtering capacity. And I think the concept plans that the town is looking at is really keeping the vast majority of that landscape completely natural, because it is pretty much unsuitable, and then trying to figure out the right balance in that southern portion that does have a trail going down there. I do think, yes, it's got to be figured out. Can you make it handicap accessible? Some places in the Adirondacks you can't. And maybe this is a case where it's not going to be truly handicap accessible because the natural terrain is not going to allow for it. But I think there's a lot of benefits to this property. I do think the traffic component has to be looked at and figure out that area. But this landscape, and it has a lot of recent history with the potential of a huge marina going out there. The developers that own the land up above could put in several docking systems going off of this landscape as an alternative to the approach that's being proposed with the developer and the town. So there are other alternatives that could create traffic issues in that area as well. So when I look at it as a town resident, especially with that hat on, we really have to look at this growing community that in the last 20 years or so has grown tremendously, and we need to provide access where reasonable and responsible to the lake for the non-lake residents as well. So thank you for the time.
Thank you, Kevin. Okay, anyone else? Okay, I don't see anyone else on this property.
So would you like a motion to close the public hearing?
Sure.
If you could continue it instead of closing it, please.
Sorry,
I had
motion
I
to
had
continue.
I had a feeling that was coming. That's why I was holding out. I will second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. So that hearing will be continued. Well, we'll now move on to public hearing on the exploration of proposed purchase of 4351 Tishner Point Drive. Can I have a motion to continue this, to reopen this hearing? Well, it hasn't been closed. Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, I think we have a lot of people here that want to speak. Jeff Twombly, I believe you have requested to speak.
Thank you, Kathy.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Jeff Twombly. I live down on Tishner Point Drive, but actually next door to the proposed property. But today I'm not speaking as a neighbor, I'm speaking as a taxpayer of the town. I did a little research into seeing how Doug's proposed 12 cents a thousand tax increase compares to some of the other past projects. And this appears to be the largest tax increase in the town's 206-year history. It's even larger than the 2018 increase associated with the town garage, which I think we can all agree benefits everybody. I also looked through all the surveys that Doug presented, and I didn't really see anything in there about concerns of overcrowding of the current water access parks. And I haven't heard anybody in these public hearings say anything about getting turned away from the existing parks due to overcrowding. The gist of most of those surveys seem to be a desire to expand Kershaw Park and some of the other parks so that the Canandaigua City has more of a feel of Geneva with a big open park at the top of the lake. And also there was a lot of discussion in there about adding more hiking and biking opportunities near the lake, which I fully agree with. Based on this, I'd like to ask the board to commit to hold off on purchasing the Tishner Point property until two things. One is a complete study can be done demonstrating that the current water access parks are overutilized and that the safety concerns about having the entrance to this park at the foot of Foster Hill can be mitigated. And if those studies warrant going further with the purchase, that a referendum be held in November to allow the voters if they want to take on this historic tax burden to create another water access park at this cost. If the town boards decides not to hold a referendum, the taxpayers could force it through Section 91 of Article 7 of the New York State law. Under this provision, we would need to get a petition signed by a number of people equal to 5% of the total votes cast in the last gubernatorial election, which was in 2018. That's about 325 signatures. We have to have that within 30 days of the resolution. We have every confidence that we could do that, but the issue is that under the current law, requires all these signatures to be personally witnessed, which means we would have to go door to door, meet face to face with all the residents and voters, putting all of our volunteers and all the public at great risk. And I ask you not to make us go through this exercise and put everybody at risk. In addition, the town attorney has indicated to us recently that the town considers the resolution passed at the 12/21 board meeting to be the resolution subjected to the permissive referendum, allowing this petition. Even though every agenda that we've sent out indicates that no resolution will be taken at this time, it's always deferred. This means that the town considers the 30-day window we have to submit this petition to have already closed. This position seems a little disingenuous to me. If the position of the town attorney is not that of the board members, then there is Section 94 of the New York State law that reads, the town board, upon its own motion, may cause to be submitted for the approval of the electors any act or resolution of such board against which a petition could be filed as provided in this chapter, which basically means any resolution can be made into a permissive referendum through the vote of the board. So for today, I think we need to fully understand where we really are in this process. I mean, is this land acquisition truly in the exploratory phase, as we've been told? Or is it in the phase where as long as the appraisals average out to more than 5.3 million, the purchase will happen? Those are two very different things. And secondly, is the board willing to go to referendum in November prior to approving the purchase offer for the land so that the voters can decide? I think that's important to understand also. And if not, will the taxpayers be given the opportunity to file a referendum on petition prior to the purchase based on this future resolution, of which we don't really understand what that resolution is going to permit or allow or contain? I kept stressing prior to the purchase because after that purchase is made, the toothpaste is out of the tube. It's going to be very hard to undo anything after that purchase. So I think it should be clear that any ability to influence this has to occur prior to the purchase of the property. So that's really what I'm hoping that we can discuss at some point this morning, is where exactly we are in this process. And if indeed the town considers our opportunity to petition that window to be closed. Thank you.
Kathy,
Thank
if I can interject here, I think.
Yes,
Mr.
thank you,
Twombly-
Chris. I was going to ask if you wanted to be heard.
I, of course, am not answering any questions, but not for nothing, let me answer Mr. Twombly's questions.
For those of you who don't know, Chris is our town attorney. So go ahead, Chris.
Yes. I had a chance to think about the permissive referendum and talked with Don O'Brien from Woods Oviatt, who I believe represents Mr. Twombly. It's my understanding, so the purchase and sale contract that the town has authorized and entered into with the sellers is explicitly subject to the purchase and sale contract is subject to a permissive referendum. The purchase and sale contract is not final yet because there is no purchase price established. There's also an attorney approval contingency. So there are existing contingencies on the contract. Contrary to previous advice I've given, I believe that the permissive referendum period will run commencing when the purchase and sale contract is contingency free. So once the appraisals are in and a purchase price is established, I will submit a resolution to the town board starting the permissive referendum time period running. I apologize, I didn't consider it in that light in December when we passed this, but the permissive referendum will begin to run, based on my information, somewhere in mid-February.
Thanks for clarifying that, Chris. I appreciate it.
And we'll discuss that a little bit more, so that's made clear to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you for bringing that up, Jeff.
Yep.
Anyone else want to be heard on that? Sorry, I'm muted. Dan, would you like to be heard? You're muted as well, Dan.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. Thank you very much for that, Chris. Appreciate that. This is Dan O'Brien, and I'm an attorney here in Canandaigua. I'm with the firm of Woods, Oviatt, Gilman, and Rochester, but I live in the town of Canandaigua. And I do represent the folks on Tishner Point Drive, as well as the two neighbors to the south. And I wanted to make sure that I understood this correctly. The time for the date which would trigger the running of the 30 days to gather petitions has not occurred yet. And that date would be when the contract is contingent free. That said, however, I would like to just say that the way I read the resolution, it doesn't really condition the holding of a referendum on this acquisition to the gathering of signatures in accordance with the petition protocol under the town law. And it makes it very express that the acquisition, the purchase offer is executed subject to a public referendum. And therefore, I believe that the town should, under section 94 of the town law, schedule the referendum regardless of whether or not people are forced to go out in the winter during the pandemic to secure the requisite number of signatures. And if that is not the intention of the town, I think that they really ought to let us know rather than have it be a mystery, because I think that a fair reading of the resolution from December is that it would be subject to a public referendum. And if the town is really interested in having the constituents weigh in, not just on a generic study or survey, but on a particular acquisition, which is what is now on the table, then I think that it ought to be submitted to a permissive referendum, particularly given the size of this. And I would point out that as I read the contract, and again, I know it's not contingent free, as I read the contract, if the appraisals come in, the town would have the ability to back out of the contract, but only if the purchase price comes in under $7 million. And so if the appraisal is $6,995,000, then the contract would not be voidable by the town for that reason. I understand that attorney approval gives a lot of discretion to the town, but it appears as if it appears.
You've reached your 3 minutes, and we definitely have to talk about this some more.
Okay.
This might
Thank
be
you.
a conversation. I mean, I agree with you. If I could just interject for a second, I think there's a couple of things in that purchase contract. It is subject to board approval, and it does say which could be subject to permissive referendum. But board approval might be part, if a board member, if the board wants a referendum, then they wouldn't approve it. So there's other things that I'm seeing in there, and this is a conversation amongst the attorneys, obviously, but my reading of it, and along with that, also, as you know, if we were to go to bonding, that would be subject to, we could have to go to a referendum and or permissive referendum, which is a separate issue. So I just wanted to interject there that those things can be discussed, but my reading of it is it requires board approval. So yes, we will talk about this some more, but I just wanted to let everybody out there know that. So we will.
And
go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, Dan, I invite you to call me next week and we can hammer it out exactly what the plan is. I think I can speak for the town board and the town manager when I say nobody's trying to ram this through. Nobody's trying to hide the ball at all. transparency is the town of Canandaigua's primary goal here. And I'd be happy to talk it through with you
Fine, that's great. Thank you.
next week.
All right, thank you. And, all right, so,
Marion had her hand up too, Kathy.
yep, I see a couple of people. Aaron Mills.
Hi, Kathy. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, of course, I'm driving my car right now. That's part of an 8 a.m. meeting, so I apologize if I'm a little scratchy. First, thank you for continuing the meeting this time from last time. I'd also like to thank Mr. Finch. I have been pestering him about the appraisals on a weekly basis, and he responds to my emails within minutes telling me they're not in yet. So I greatly appreciate that. Doug, thank you for your quick reply, and we look forward to those appraisals. I'd like to just voice 3 concerns. I would not like to repeat what I said at the last meeting. Also, just in terms of that meeting, thank you for posting everything to YouTube. It makes it very easy for other people to understand. Jeff's presentation was phenomenal. I appreciate everything he said. I would like to reiterate that, at least from my standpoint and many others that I've talked to, it does feel to us that this was more something that was a done deal, not an exploration, and now waiting for the bits and pieces of the puzzle to come together. I'd like to stress that we like an exploration and not a done deal. The second piece I'd like to discuss briefly is the appraisal process. I've had many appraisals done on a commercial and residential basis for my business and for my homes personally over the years, and I have never seen an appraisal take this long. I am now concerned that our public comments have weighed in and have altered that appraisal in one way or the other. And I believe an appraisal should be fair. It should be without public opinion. It should be at the discretion of a certified appraiser. And I have concern with the length of time that appraisal process is taking. The last piece of information is the format of these meetings. I totally recognize that these are board meetings and 3-minute time limit makes sense. But I think we also need to engage maybe a slightly more informal meeting. I'm happy to have it public and recorded, but a question and an answer, a dialogue. That is how we function as human beings. And we don't wait for presentations, but I'd like to be able to say, Kathy, what did you have for breakfast today? And you said, well, I had eggs and toast. Doug, what did you have? I had oatmeal. So that's the type of conversation that I asked the town of Canandaigua that we can have with you. And I think it would be beneficial for both parties if we could engage in a dialogue. And I don't know the process to do that, whether it's recorded, whether it's informal or not. COVID makes things a little more difficult, but I think it would be welcomed by all of us. Just the couple questions that went back and forth that were answered by the town attorney, I received so much more information out of being able to have that dialogue. So please, I stress to you, the mode at which we communicate going forward, let there be a large opportunity to have a dialogue and not a presentation versus comment section. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Jacqueline?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for holding this meeting and providing the information that you have. My name is Jacqueline, and my husband Michael and I, our home is located right in between these 2 park proposals. And I'm born and raised in Canandaigua and a graduate of Canandaigua Academy. And so I grew up going to Ononda and Butler, and having community access is a wonderful part of our community. But our concerns for these proposals are around the safety within the community. So this stretch of County Road 16 is very busy, and adding these parks is going to add more traffic and congestion, like was mentioned, parking on the side of the road. And there needs to be some studies and research into the impact of this so that our community is aware. Secondly, launching kayaks and canoes in this stretch of the lake is also a safety concern. So being located close to a marina and also within a residential community, you have boats coming and going all day to properties, from properties to the marina and from the marina. And this creates a lot of congestion within the lake. Boats go very fast here. It's very different from the north end of the lake. So, that is definitely a safety concern for a public launch in this area. And lastly, we're in the middle of a pandemic. And so for the foreseeable future, this is how it's going to be. And Right now, fiscal responsibility and consideration for our neighbors is highly pertinent. Paying $6 million for a property that's assessed at 1.4 is not a fiscally responsible use of taxpayer dollars, which many board members promise to be of utmost concern when running. Taxes in New York are high, and while the majority of that doesn't go to the town of Canandaigua, raising taxes, especially right now, will have a negative impact on the families in our community. We need our community to be able to go out and support these restaurants and support these businesses that are being forced to shut down and suffering. And raising taxes is also going to inhibit them from being able to do that. And these are the people that are employing our community as well. And so we also need to have consideration for our neighbors at this time, and buying a residential property and opening it up to 10,000 people in a neighborhood community really sets a dangerous precedent within the community. And I think that regardless of where people live, whether it's in the town, the city, or on the lake, I don't think anyone would want their next door neighbor's home or a bordering property that's a few feet away opened up to 10,000 people for public use. And just because, you know, there's a lake in our community, I don't think that means that we should. Sure. So my final point is that just because there's a lake within our community, I don't think we should be treating our neighbors any differently. So these are our concerns, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Jacqueline. Anyone else on this property? Yes, hold on, I just lost you. Marion, go ahead.
I have two questions, actually. I know we're not supposed to take questions, but one is, you mentioned that there was a meeting earlier this week and it was recorded, and I'm wondering what group or committee that was and where we can see it. And then my other comment is, I sent, you had said both times that you wouldn't be answering any questions and people should send them in by email. And I sent in actually two different things with questions. And I'm wondering at what point I can expect answers to those questions and in what format.
So just so that everyone knows, as I mentioned earlier, the videos are available on YouTube. Sarah Reynolds just, I don't know if you can see that, but she said that meeting that we're referring to will be up later today. I'm sorry, I'm getting information as I'm speaking to you. So
what committee was it? Was it a committee?
It was not a committee. Some concerned citizens not that you're all not concerned citizens, but people that live in Lakewood Meadows had a lot of questions and had asked if I could answer their questions at a meeting outdoors. So it wasn't a full board or anything like that. It was me and Doug and some people who live in that area that had questions about the RSM property. So that whole meeting was recorded. Originally, they had asked if I could answer their questions in an outdoor meeting to accommodate COVID concerns, so that more people could attend, and it was recorded. That's how that came about.
So to look for that, to watch it, we should look for something that says meeting of Kathy and Lakewood Meadows residents?
It'll be on our website, and if you can't find it, let me know, and I will send you the link.
Okay.
All right.
And then the additional questions that I sent in, at what point will those be responded to?
I can't give you a date on that at this point, so.
Well, under what means are you going to respond in writing, or are you going to have someone answer those questions at a meeting, at a presentation before another board meeting, at the continuation of this, or, you know, what can I expect?
We will let you know. All right. Patricia.
Good morning. This
Morning.
is Ted Brewer, Patricia's husband.
Yes, go ahead, Ted.
I live about a little less than a mile away from Park Ananda. I walk past the park on a daily basis and see what's going on there. And I have concerns regarding the town's perspective that that park is highly utilized. So I'm requesting some hard data to substantiate this notion that that park is highly used. For example, I'd like to see the cabin occupancy rate data. Reservations are required to use those cabins. Certainly you should have some detailed understanding and data regarding use of the cabins. Additionally, I'd like to know about parking space utilization. Both sides of the road together there's well over 100 parking spots, and almost all the time, huge numbers of them are available. I'd like to see some hard data on parking utilization. And lastly, there's a small ticket building, if you want to call it that, at the entry to the park on the lakeside, where people are supposed to either check in or pay an admission fee at some times. I'd like to see some data from that admission process as well. If you don't have hard data for us substantiating our claim that this park is overutilized, I really have to ask what's going on here. So I look forward to answers to those questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Maureen.
Good morning. I spoke last time and I'd like to just introduce myself. I'm Lorraine Burke. I've lived on Canandaigua Lake for 45 years and I've been a full-time resident for the last 10 years. I have three concerns today. One is that I do believe that the tax ramifications that will affect the taxpayers of this community will be far higher than was suggested at the last meeting. So that is a concern. Secondly, trying to go forward and get petitions in person is really not feasible during the non-summer months, as many people who are property owners do not live here in the winter. So that would have to be addressed. And lastly, I simply want to say that, again, I think there is plenty of opportunity to use Ananda and Camp Butler or Butler Park. I thought that the comment earlier about getting a floating dock for kayak access was an excellent idea. And since I enter the lake from the north end to Kershaw Park to go swimming, and there's many, many people taking their kayaks off and putting them in there, that would be great to put a dock where you could actually have people with mobility issues getting in their kayaks there. And I think I live less than 1/8 of a mile from Ananda, see kayakers go by all the time. And I think that if there's a way to get more kayakers on the lake, by putting in a more accessible way with a mobility dock, that would be great. Lastly, I simply want to say that as I have gone around the lake over the last 20 years and seen new construction and seen what's happened to a lot of the old cottages being taken down and very large, beautiful homes being put up, is a lack of consideration for neighbors sometimes. And I think that that's really inappropriate and unfortunate. When I look at what is being suggested for Tishner Point, I am stunned that the a county government would want to in fact impact their community and those neighbors the way this park would be. And it saddens me, particularly when there are other ways to accomplish this. And if the city and the county could get together and take those funds and really make Kershaw Park a park that it could be, that it absolutely is not now, I think that would be a far better solution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maureen. Anyone else? I don't see any.
Kathy,
Aaron, yes.
Donna.
Oh, go ahead,
Yes,
Donna.
I'd also like to speak about this property. You know, I think that I remember actually one of the surveys responding openly to, gee, if we need more access, possibly we need more access, but it's a matter of finding the right kind of access. I think that when the town presents a number, 81.2% of the population, put 10,000 residents are in favor, I think it's may not be intentional, but it is misleading. Only 131 residents responded, that's 34.95% of the survey. 131 said somewhat needed. And I think 181 said greatly needed, and everybody, just like everyone's talked about today, it's Kershaw, Kershaw, Kershaw. I grew up when Kershaw was wide open. It's shallow, it's sandy, the water's warm. I think people want to be near amenities. And in some ways, what's really been great about this is it's made me, I've spent a lot of time on probably every possible website relating to water access. And it did beg the question. There are, and I don't know if people know that, there are 18 locations right now that you can put kayaks in on Canandaigua Lake. I'm not far from the water treatment facility. I know there's a lot of frontage there. There's parking. Is it possible to put a floating dock there? Because that's an easy place for people to get in and out. I also, with Ananda, I only found out recently that Ananda ownership of the lakefront is being transferred from New York State to the town of Canandaigua. I think we should be embracing this. We should be celebrating this. I would love to see a community volunteer group get together with the town and help to figure out how can we make this the best possible park? What kind of fundraising can we do to make it something really wonderful? And I don't mean to sound sacrilegious, but I honestly think that perhaps swimming pools are not a bad idea for young children, for people to do laps. When I researched this park, and we're all familiar with it, but sometimes it's like, hey, let's look at the statistics. I think it's about 7 acres on the lakefront, lots of lake frontage. There's a building on the lake side that could accommodate 150 diners. There are buildings on that property that you could sublet, and people want amenities. They want a place where they get a cup of coffee, get a sandwich, sit by the water. There's 73 acres with 2 miles of trails. There is no way that we're using this property to our potential. So it's very difficult for me as a taxpayer to turn around and burden our citizens with an additional, whatever that turns out to be.
Donna, you have 20 seconds.
I also want to say that I am not against Tishner Point. Like everybody here, I understand the beauty of it, but perhaps there's a better owner. If it's not private, is there a university that would buy it and use it for some sort of research opportunity? But I don't think it's right for the town.
Thank you, Donna. Aaron?
Thank you, Kathy.
Yep. Aaron Mills?
I have something to say too.
Okay, sorry, Kathy, one other quick thing, because I think I have a little bit of my 3 minutes left. Not specifically either property, but just as long as we're in a public forum, and many people have brought this up, I'm an avid runner. That's how I know a lot of the people on this Zoom meeting. I see them running. I understand that Westlake Road is a county road, but it's a county road through our town, so it's worth noting. There was a survey sent a number of years ago about improving pedestrian access on County Road 16. It is, it's a difficult one. There's areas that are fine, there's areas that are dangerous. I go basically from Ananda to the water treatment plant. In the area that I run, I do find the area by German Brothers and the property, the RSM property that you're referring to, the most dangerous area in that stretch that I run. And I do think everybody would share my feelings that it's an absolutely stunning area to walk, run, ride a bike, but at times extremely dangerous. So I'm not sure what happened with that county study and if it's still in the works, but I think it would be favorable if we could maybe see what the results of that were and if there are any plans in the future to make it a safer place for us to bike, walk, and run. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Anyone else?
Yes. Dick McGavern.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Dick McGavern.
Oh, go ahead, Dick.
Yes. On the road survey, someone did send me the copy of the county survey. It's inconclusive. It's miles long with lots of comments, but no conclusions. I mean, truly, it's got to be widened. And when the right-of-way is enforced, people are really going to scream because there's a lot of encroachment. But back to my main concern this morning is that listening to this meeting, there's not overwhelming support for either idea. And while the elected officials on the town board have been very quiet, and I'd like to hear from them, the employees of the town are cheerleaders for this project. And at every opportunity are quoted in the paper as though this is a landslide favorable idea to raise taxes, which are nothing, and go forward in the good of all the people, which is not quantified. So I think we need to hear, from people before the day of the election to get a gist of just what they're thinking. And perhaps the town employees could be more impartial. Thank you.
So as I said, I'm not answering questions, but I do want to address that. So speaking for myself, I am very much still in the information stage. And I know I'm an attorney. I keep an open mind. I was a prosecutor, I was a defense attorney. I never make a decision unless I have all the evidence. So when I have made such a decision, I will absolutely speak to, and if you want to call me at any time, I can tell you what my considerations are. I'm not keeping it from anyone. I'm just keeping an open mind. So I've always asked a jury to do the same. And I've learned when I make a decision too quickly, I'm usually wrong. So for me personally, and just for the benefit of everyone there, I'm keeping an open mind to all possibilities. If it appears that I've made up my mind, that is not true. And if I have questions, I will ask the people that have the answers. And that's why I'm listening to all of you. So.
Kathy? Kathy, may I speak? No, she's muted.
Kathy, it's Paul Messina.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. Go ahead.
I would just like to say I agree with many of the people who have spoken about safety concerns with either of these proposed park locations, as well as the tax implications. What I would like to see is the town explore the possibility of working with the city of Canandaigua into other options. We have Atwater Park, which, yes, it's in the city, not the town. Why has that not been developed? It's got shallow water. There's a lot of beach space. It could be a beautiful swimming, kayaking, fishing site for a lot of residents, and it's already available. Also, I'd like to see them look into the possibility of purchasing land up at the unused Pinnacle North location and expanding Kershaw. Everybody has said Kershaw is the best place. It's going to provide shallow water. It's going to provide access to the town or to the city for people to use our restaurants and support our businesses, which they all need support now. I just think that's something that should be explored. I think it would be better options than either the Tishner Point or the RSM properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Adeline.
Hi, I just want to kind of toss on I'm a member of the Town Parks Committee hat for a second and mention, just to make sure everyone knows, we're talking about people who have control over the town of Canandaigua, not the city of Canandaigua. Kershaw and Atwater Park are both not something that the town of Canandaigua can make decisions on or choices about. We do also have a water trail that you can find information about on the town website as well. That talks about the various kayak launches throughout the town. I highly recommend the town website and searching some of our Parks and Trails Masters plans to give you an idea of what's already been approved for the future of Canandaigua and our park system. And then finally, regarding Ononda Park and the utilization thereof, the Parks Committee is definitely looking into better ways where we can more clearly define the utilization of that park for residents. And I just wanted to let you know that 2020 obviously will have strange utilization numbers. In the summer of 2019 and summers before that, Ononda Park is quite booked. The parking lot is usually full at the lakefront side and people are sent across the street for parking. And there are, during the week in particular, there are numerous school camps and summer camp programs at Ononda where it is quite full. And it would be very easy for us to supply rental data for the cabins at this point. I know Gene Crispin keeps very good records about that. So that would be a simple thing for us to supply at this point. But I just wanted everybody to have a little bit of a better understanding of our parks, and really the only lakefront parks that are the town of Canandaigua has any purview over is Ononda Park and Baker Park. Not Baker Park, you know what I mean, the Butler Road Park, sorry.
Thank you, Adeline. This hearing is going to be continued, by the way, so you're still gathering your thoughts and not ready to speak today. We'll hear you next time. And just on that other item about the town board's position, we're all individual people. We don't all have the same opinions. My fellow town board members may have completely different opinions, and I don't speak on their behalf, and nor they speak on my behalf until we actually vote, and then our votes are individual as well. So as I said, anytime anybody wants to call me, email me, I'll be happy to speak. All right, if anyone else has any questions, I don't see anything right now. We will, if we could have a motion to continue this hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so it will be continued to the next board meeting, and we will try to get that information out to everyone as soon as possible about those presentations. And if there's other people that have questions, we'll try to work something out as well.
And Kathy, in the chat room, Sarah has put up some information to everyone on how to find that feasibility study.
Correct, I see that. And again, if anybody can't find it, email me and I will find you the link. All right, thank you, everyone. We'll now move on to our next business. We have no new public hearings. We have now our next privilege of the floor, if anyone would like to be heard. Okay, seeing no hands, we'll now move on to new resolutions. Resolution number 2021-013, acknowledgement and authorization of budget transfers by town manager.
So second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-014, authorizing town manager to execute contracts for aerial spraying and injections for the treatment of gypsy moth caterpillars at Ononda Park.
So moved. Second.
Okay, I think we have discussion on this. Does someone wish to be heard?
Kathy, we also have Dr. Kokersberger from the Environmental Conservation Board is joining us that I had referenced when we were having our Finance Committee meeting that is more knowledgeable about the subject than myself, so he is here.
Okay. If you'd like to speak and give us an overview of this process?
Sure. I am by no means an expert on gypsy moth containment. Treat a lot of bugs in my professional career, but rarely patients that infested with caterpillars. But I think we're all aware of the devastation that we experienced this past spring with the gypsy moth infestation in the area, which probably has been 20, 30 years since this area was similarly affected. The measures to help control this are pretty limited. The use of biocontrol agents seems to be most effective, and the particular material they use is a bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis, which is specific for the caterpillars, but very effective in controlling them. It's a material that's been around for many decades, very safe to humans and pets. Again, it's very specific just for infecting caterpillars. And the proposal would be for a one-time spraying of Ononda Park. The individuals doing this is the Rebecca Lynn aerial service for doing crop dusting. They're very experienced and have handled gypsy moth outbreaks elsewhere in the Northeast. They would use the airport as their staging center. Many residents have actually already contracted with this service for spraying. It would take place probably latter part of May, early June, when the caterpillars are in a very immature stage and more susceptible to the effects of this biopesticide. So I think it's something reasonable to pursue. And in addition to this mitigation effort, the Finger Lakes Community College Environmental Science faculty is going to be gathering a group of students to do an egg mass survey of the park where they actually will count the number of egg masses on trees and come up with an estimate of per acre how many are in existence. And there's good data correlating those numbers with tree mortality. After trees have been defoliated, they can usually survive 1 or 2 years, depending upon the health of the tree and the magnitude of the defoliation. But the concern is that we'll have similar weather conditions that we experienced this last spring with a very dry weather. And the natural enemy of the caterpillar is a fungus which resides in the soil. And because it was so dry, that fungus just didn't take hold and didn't do its job of controlling the caterpillars. So if we have a similar weather event this coming year, trees would likely suffer the consequences, and we could anticipate tree mortality. So again, a treatment that's biocontrol, proven safe, and something which has been proven to be effective. It's not going to eradicate the gypsy moths, but will certainly go a long ways in trying to control another infestation this coming spring.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Do any of my fellow town board members have any discussion or questions for Gary?
Well, not necessarily for Gary, but I think, Doug, you mentioned that there's another property owner adjacent to Onanda Park that was interested in having their property treated in a similar manner.
I think Terry and Gary, I don't know if you want to jump in on that or not, but there was some property owners, I think, to the north that have also been in communication with the same service. And then we actually, I believe earlier, I don't know if they're still on, but one of the property owners to the south was joining the call. I don't know if they had any comment on this or not, but I've been making them aware that we were at least discussing this. So.
Well, I don't know how the town is actually making people aware, but I was just curious as to whether we should announce something that if you are interested in that vicinity, contact the town. So, some arrangement could be made to, broaden the application perhaps.
I inquired about, this is Dick McGavin again. I don't know if it's appropriate to speak, but I did talk to those people, and for individual owners, they want $1,500, no matter how small. But for the town, for a bigger person, it's $60 an acre. So I know I'd much rather get involved through the town.
Right.
All right.
That's why I asked the question. So
I think it'd be great to get it out there. The more that we can get, the better, and allow people that discount. I think the company should be willing to do that.
Yeah. So Dr. Kokersberger, I don't know if you have anything you want to add on that. I know that the DEC, and Sarah just sent me a reminder, the DEC is actually the one coordinating this, not the town. So we can give you the contacts at the DEC that you should reach out to for that. But this service, I believe, has been in communication, I think, with a number of landowners in the area, right?
Yeah, they have, and these are individual contracts between the property owners and this company. I'm not sure if they would look at add-ons to the town's contract. Again, it's kind of individual contracts being written up, but it's $60 per acre. But as Dick mentioned, the minimum of 1,600.
Okay. Any further discussion?
no.
All right, all in favor?
Effie, I'm sorry. There is
wait, I said, Doug, go ahead.
sorry. There's just a typo. The 4th paragraph up from the bottom on the seeker, where the town board does hereby make a determination of non-significance. That paragraph should just end right there without the rest of that. It was a copy and paste error.
Okay, and it says determination of significance. That should say non-significance.
The 4th one from the bottom. Be it further resolved, the town board does hereby make a determination of non-significance.
Right.
And we'll end it right there.
All right, and it's just, so it says significance, so I think we have to, because it's different than what was, or at least my copy says significance. Can I have a motion to amend?
So
So
moved.
move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Motion to amend that whereas, so it should say, whereas the town board determines that is the most appropriate agency for making the determination of non-significance.
No, that's not the right paragraph, Kathy.
Or 1, 2,
Oh.
I'm looking at 1, 2, 3, 4 up.
From the
Okay.
bottom, he said, 4 from the bottom.
Maybe it's the way mine copied, but
So right here. So the town board does hereby make a determination of non-significance, and then we'll strike the rest of this.
further resolved.
We'll
Okay,
strike
1,
this
2, 3.
portion.
So where it says on the proposed adoption of town of Canandaigua, that part.
Okay. So since I misspoke, I guess we should have a motion to amend that, be it further resolved paragraph as proposed. Have a motion,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So now as to the resolution itself, I think we had, you can have a motion to approve as amended.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Okay. Resolution number 2021-015, authorization for town assessor to require a renewal application for 476 and 459C as needed.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-016, approval for application of correction of tax roll.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-017, authorization and transfer of money for Canandaigua Water Tank Storage Project.
So
So
moved.
move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-018, authorization of contract agreement with MRB for a Green Innovation Grant Program for water meter replacement and seeker type 2 action.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-019, authorization for town manager to execute documents to create temporary part-time human resource and payroll coordinator position and temporary part-time town planner position.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-020, authorization for town manager to execute proposal for phase 1A, 1B survey of Outhouse West inclusive playground.
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries, resolution carries, excuse me. Resolution number 2021-021, recognizing select fabricators for their efforts in manufacturing and distributing masks to frontline workers during the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? I would just like to take this opportunity to let people know that are not familiar with select fabricators that they are a high-tech company located within the town of Canandaigua that does things that pretty amazing. When I went up there to visit, they are involved in secure communications. They develop fabrics and tents which protect radio frequencies and from being disclosed beyond their intended audience, so to speak. So their products are used by the federal government, by DEA, by many other organizations. So early on, they switched to manufacturing face masks. They went from their very high-tech operation to manufacturing face masks to provide for frontline workers. They switched all their production over and were able to provide at cost to many workers on the front line, including providing to the town 500 masks. And I want to take this opportunity to recognize them as hometown heroes and to thank them. They were going to try to be here this morning, but they had a meeting. So I want to thank them, and it's my pleasure to recognize them with this resolution. Does anyone else want to be heard? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, resolution carries. Resolution number 2021-022, appointment of Rocco Palomini to the vacant position on the Town Environmental Conservation Board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? I don't know if Rocco's on this Zoom call, but I'd like to welcome Rocco if it is so approved by the town board. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Resolution carries, and thank you, Rocco, for being willing to serve on the Environmental Conservation Board. Okay, next we have approval of town board meeting minutes of January 11th, 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections, deletions, additions? Hearing no requests, all in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Payment of the bills, Jean.
Yes, the utility abstract dated January 14th, 2021 for $154,217.38. And those are for the 2020 expenses. General fund of $20,672.52. Highway fund of $375.85. Lighting districts of $1,219.67. And the water districts of $131,949.34. Abstract dated January 29th, 2021, totaling $195,313, and this is for the 2020 expenses. The general fund of $65,584.12. The highway fund of $95,318.50. Capital projects of $19,909.80, and water districts of $14,558. Abstract dated January 29th, 2021, totaling $490,939.33, and these are for 2021 expenses. General fund of $188,349.92. The highway fund of $71,739.38. Fire protection districts of $19.85, and water districts of $230,830.18. There. A lot of numbers.
Good job reading them off, Gene.
Oh, thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Kathy, you're on mute.
Sorry, I was tired of hearing myself anyway. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion to approve payment of the bills carries. Thank you very much, Jean. Okay, next we have our next privilege of the floor. If anyone would like to be heard.
Kathy,
Okay.
if
Go
I
ahead.
could either privilege of the floor or other board business, whichever, three things real quick. Number one, Ononda Park was just received an award, first place award for Ononda Park, the best outdoor recreation by Best of the Finger Lakes. So very, very cool. We got a nice little plaque. So neat thing for Ononda Park on that. So we'll pass that along. We'll share some additional stuff on that.
Congratulations to all in our Parks and Rec and all the people that work on the park and enjoy the park. So thank you for that.
I have two more questions for the board, or one, they really relate to these land acquisitions, and looking for a little direction on how you want to proceed. We are now anticipating the appraisers have been doing their due diligence. We anticipate those appraisal information, what I'm being told, is probably on or about February 3rd. That would be next Wednesday. We do have a scheduled finance committee meeting on February the 4th. I did reach out to the assessor to see if he could attend the finance meeting on February 4th to possibly present the appraisal information, the appraiser that the town has hired, and he said that yes, he could do that. Thought process being there that they could present that information, we can record it, share that all publicly and everything, so that folks have a chance before the February 8th meeting to take a look at that, and then provide their public comments and those sorts of things during the public hearing. So just want to make sure that that's okay with the board, and that we can, with you, Chairwoman Dorzak, for us to do that with the Finance Committee.
Yeah, that sounds like a great use of finance team, especially since it's a already advertised meeting.
And I'm in favor of, because Linda will be running the meeting. Just kidding. No, I think it's a great idea.
Okay. And then the other thing, I know the question came up also today in terms of, and we need to have a conversation. We've been receiving communications, we've been receiving emails, we've been receiving a variety of different things. People very much opposed to acquisition of one or the both, or people very much in favor of acquisition of one or the both. Just wondering from a format, do you have a preference on at some point in time and how we go about that, whether we do a workshop meeting where maybe we bring those questions up and we have a conversation, or whether, and obviously that could be recorded, or whether we respond in writing. My concern about responding in writing is there's been so much communication, both in favor and against. A lot of it is very duplicate in nature. I wonder if it might be easier to have some sort of a meeting that is recorded and shared, so that the information is shared accurately. But again, just for point of discussion, wanted to get some feedback from the town board members.
I like the idea of a Q&A session, pulling from those questions. I think that might be the best use to do it. Evening meeting, record it. People can drop in, go to the questions that have been asked, and then have a chance potentially with within the parameters of other questions and answers like was brought up. I think that's the most fair way to do it.
Would it be, just thinking out loud, there are, as you said, Doug, there's a great similarity in the questions. So would it be perhaps advisable to have, some of the more common questions answered, and then open it, to, some information has been accurate that, people have been reporting back, and some is, not accurate. So to try and clear up the inaccuracies up front, then open it up, that they have a short presentation. Here are the facts, here are the figures, then open it, just so that everybody's there on the same page.
Oh, my thought is, would it be quicker to take some of these questions and put them out on the internet in a area where we say, hey, this question was asked, here is the answer. And then if a permutation is asked of the same question, we could always add more to it, just so that in some way we're not waiting until we could get something scheduled. We're actually making some quick progress on some of the ones that I feel like we keep hearing over and over. That would be easily answered, and then maybe do also the Q&A, but have a lot of the answers already available.
So my thinking is I agree that we can get together groups of questions, have, about the survey or safety or things like that. And whoever going to do the workshop, coming up with those answers, and maybe, providing those ahead of time. Some of those questions, the answers may be different among different board members. I think that the workshop idea is a good way for each of us to pose our own questions as well as concerns. But you don't have to, obviously, but But either one I think is good. I do think it's important to address those concerns sooner
Well,
rather than later, obviously. Go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, I think, certainly so to not to confuse the residents, we want to let them know as much as possible ahead of time, probably before the questions and answers,
So I know that when Jean putting together the minutes from our last meeting was able to group together questions. There are other meetings that we've had, and those questions do boil down to a lot of the same areas of questions. By whatever means we can get those questions together, and I mentioned to Doug that I'd be willing to take a look at them in terms of getting the groups of questions together. I don't know when I would have the opportunity to do that, but I will try to do that as well. But Jean, in getting the minutes together, has done a lot of that already. So Doug, you let us know what you think will work.
So I guess one of the things, and there's been some confusion, and I get phone calls like many of you asking all kinds of different questions, and there's a lot of confusion with both of the projects, and sometimes people confusing between one and the other. There is some information that is relevant to both, and some of the questions are relevant to both, and then there's a lot that are particular to one or the other. The Tishner Point property is probably the most time sensitive in my opinion, and I'm wondering if we should maybe focus, if we're going to do like a workshop, focus on that one. We can certainly take comments that are relative to both, but really make that the priority. I think because of the time essence issue relative to that one. And then we can address the other one maybe at a future workshop and give that a little bit more time if that makes sense. And then in terms of the questions, it's a matter of pulling it together. I mean, Gina did a great job of actually documenting the questions, and we'll need some time for that. And then we have a whole lot of correspondence that we've received on both sides. So, I can come up with general responses, to what we discussed, and maybe we can put those out with an advertisement with a town board meeting workshop associated with the two.
So have those questions, because I haven't seen those questions, have any of them been tabulated and sent out to people yet?
Just the questions. I believe the town board members did. All the town board, I thought we'd send an email out. Maybe not, Jared. We'll make sure the town board members get the questions, but they're not answers. They're just the questions.
Right, because that's important for us to be, as we talk to people and formulate our ideas and hear what they have to say.
Yeah, that was from the town board meeting now, so it's not new information.
Yeah, but I wasn't sure if there'd been already, Jean had made a list. I didn't know if that was sent out to anybody yet, or if any groups had a hold of that to start going through the questions and seeing the concerns in a linear format.
So I have a copy of it. I can send it to you.
Yeah, okay. Make sure it goes out so everybody has that.
Anyone else on that? Okay, so that any other business, I assume that would sort of fall under other business. We have our next and last privilege of the floor. Oh, Lori, would you like to be heard on privilege of the floor? I see a hand up.
Yeah, this is Jeff Twombly.
Oh, hi, Jeff.
Hi. I'm not sure it's appropriate, but I would just like to understand Doug's comment about what exactly is time sensitive about the Tishner Point purchase.
Well, it is. Do you want me to respond to that, town board? So
yes,
that one is certainly in terms of, there is a contract in place with that one that has some dates associated with it, and there's a lot of comments that have been received on both pro and either in favor of the town moving forward or against the town moving forward. That one certainly, I think, in the scheme of things, timing wise, that one I think we need to address first. The other project, the 3950 County Road 16 property, the town has a option to purchase that, and there's a 2-year window on it. So that's what I mean, where that one, the Tishner Point one, is more time sensitivity than the secondary one.
Thank you.
All right.
I have a quick comment if possible.
Go ahead, Adeline.
Is it possible for future hearings that we can completely separate these two projects? I think that would help eliminate some of the confusion between the two, and I think they're quite different from one another, so.
I think what Doug was saying was, you know, that would be helpful, at least as, yeah, I agree with that. But
thank you.
I know my other town board members.
No, that's good. I mean, we've been trying to do that. It's just difficult for some to separate them themselves.
I think today it was done, but I think each one does have separate concerns, so. All right.
Kathy, I have a quick question. I
Yes,
just want to
Jean.
make sure that I note in the minutes that it is the consensus of the town board to have a public workshop on the water, especially the Tishner Point property. I just want to make sure I have it in the minutes correctly.
I believe so, but if we need, do you need to vote on it?
That's up to you. I just want to make sure.
I'm in.
I'm in favor.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I'm in favor. Linda?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Does that help you, Jean?
Very much. Thank you so much.
Okay. Next, executive session as requested. I think we might need an executive session to discuss pending litigation. I'd ask that Doug Finch, Chris Nadler, and town board members. Anyone else that you guys can think of that should be present for that?
That was for pending litigation.
Correct.
Thank you. Motion.
I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone. I don't expect any, do we expect any other action after this executive session from anyone?
No.
All right, so.
Right. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Yeah, Jane.
Bye, Jane.
Thanks, take care, Gene.
I almost hit leave.
Force her
Keep
hand.
your hand off the button there, Kathy.
Hey, we're recording and you're back into public session.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone, for attending the executive session. I will now entertain a motion to adjourn unless anyone has anything else they wish to say on the town board.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion of that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Have a
Thank
great
you, everyone.
day.
You
Have a
too.
nice weekend.
Yeah, everybody. Linda, it's
Weekend,
19, it's 9 degrees outside. Enjoy
Oh,
Florida.
I know, that's terrible. I won't even tell you.
Linda's got that fan going because it's so hot down there, you know?
I feel bad for her. I feel sorry. All right, see you guys.
Yeah.
Okay.